Hi. So, what I'd like to do today is walk you guys through some reviews and comparisons between some very expensive sleeping bags that I have used, tested, compared with each other, and just help give you guys some better clarity for when you guys go to look for your next backpacking or hunting sleeping bag. Primarily, my biggest focus here is going to be the three in the middle, which will be a Peax Solace 0 degree, an Argali Alpine 0 degree, and a Stone Glacier Chilkoot 0 degree. I did throw in a couple extra bags here just for some additional comparisons. On the end here in the red is a Western Mountaineering Alpine Light 20 degree bag. And on the far end over there is a Sitka Kelvin, I believe it's a 30 degree bag, which is the only synthetic bag out of all of these bags here. So, what I have done, I have tried out all of these bags on several nights now. All three of the middle bags I have used on at least one 10 or below degree Fahrenheit night. Um, they are all rated for 0 degrees. Now, um, the Peaks has a 16 degree comfort rating. The Stone Glacier has a 14 degree comfort rating, I believe it is. And the Argali, they claim a 0 degree comfort rating. I haven't seen their ISO chart, so I don't really know. The uh, Western Mountaineering bag here has a comfort rating of 25 with a limit rating of 17. The Peaks has a limit rating of 3. The Stone has a limit rating of 0. And I think that one's got a limit rating of like 38 or something like that. Or, sorry, um, the limit rating on that one, the synthetic bag out here, they actually put it on here, is 28 degrees. The comfort rating is 30. So, getting into a few things here. For those of you that don't know, comfort ratings are typically targeted towards women or just men that happen to sleep pretty cold. Average man sleeps warmer than the average woman. So even though these might have a comfort rating above 0 degrees for some of these, for these 0 degree bags, anyways, their limit rating for most average men is going to be what you're going to be focused on. Um, these are these first four are all down bags. They're all goose down bags, and they are all 850 plus fill, which is excellent for backpacking. It packs down light, super, or packs down small, super light, should be fairly lofty. As you can tell, probably in this video alone here, I'll try to get you guys a better view of that. That Stone Glacier bag, the Chilkoot, is by far the loftiest bag out here. It sits probably a good inch higher than the Argali or Peaks, which isn't a crazy thing when you know about their baffle system. They use a different baffle system, different sewing system that allows maximum loft to occur. Um, but it can lead to some more down migration, potentially leaving um, not as uniform as warmth. I haven't had that be an issue in that bag. That bag has been extremely warm every night that I've used it. No issues. Um, my biggest issue with the Stone Glacier bag is the only bag here that actually isn't made for a guy my size. Stone Glacier in their Chilkoot line makes one size and one size only, and it's to fit an individual up to 6'6", 6'5", or 6'6", I believe. The rest of these bags, the Argali, they have a regular which fits somebody up to I think 6'1" or 6'2". Peaks, same thing, and then the Western Mountaineering also has several different sizes. All of these in the shoulders are going to be about the same. They're going to be roughly that 64-inch shoulder width, which is great if you are a more athletic guy, we'll say. I am 5'11" and about 215 pounds, so I really like that extra shoulder room. Um, so, uh, the Stone Glacier, my biggest gripe on that bag is that I wish they made it in a regular size for somebody that's 6 foot and under. Um, having a bag that is, 7 inches longer than what I need it to be just leads to a lot of dead space that my body is having to produce heat to warm up. You get you can get cold, uh, dead air, which leads to cold. Because sleeping bags, the way that they work, they're not producing the warmth. They're not keeping you warm, or I shouldn't say they're not making you warm. What they're doing is they're keeping you warm. So when your body heat radiates off of your body when you're inside those, it should be trapping that heat inside, and that is what keeps you warm at night. So the more area that you have to fill up as you sleep, well, the more heat you need to produce, the more heat you need to keep stored. Um, so that's my biggest gripe with that bag. Otherwise, it's a great bag. Like I said, even though it is big, I've never actually been cold. What I have had be an issue with that bag is if I'm sleeping somewhere where the ground's not perfectly level, um, and I don't get my tent placed somewhere that's just absolutely perfect, I tend to slide around in it. And that's because there's a lot of extra room. When you're talking 6, 7 inches of extra room, there's room to move. Or the bag moves on you. I am a side sleeper, so I might toss and turn a little bit at night. And I have found it very difficult to keep my face actually in the opening of that hood if I'm not on pretty close to exactly level ground. Um, the other bags where they are actually my size, I've never had that be an issue. When you lay down in them, you're you're basically strapped in, you're ready to go. They're going to move with you through the night. And all of these bags, I will say, maybe with the exception of the um, Sika bag there at the end, are very generously sized. That one's not bad. I can sleep in it just fine. It's just not quite as roomy as the rest of them. And the rest of these, plenty of room. I don't feel like I'm trapped. I'm not a huge fan of traditional mummy bags to where your legs are just locked together and your shoulders are just pinned down. Um, it's just not a fun situation to be in. So, um, going through these here, uh, there are a few things that I really like, and there are some things that, going through these here, there are some things that I really like about all these bags, and there are some things that I like better how some of the other ones have done it versus these. And to get into that here, ignore my kids' stuff in the back and the old couch that we haven't got rid of yet. Um, so this bag is a nylon shell, very light. Like I said, it's a 20-degree bag. The one thing that Western Mountaineering does, and I believe they do this with all of their bags, is their baffles all wrap around, and they are a continuous baffle from front to back, which allows you to, on warmer nights, you can actually move that down underneath of you. And on colder nights, you can take all this down that's underneath if you want and put it on top. Um, Down doesn't do anything on your back when you're laying on it anyways. As soon as down's compressed, it's really not doing anything for warmth. I mean, you're going to be, that's basically wasted, I should say. So being able to move that down round is a great feature. I don't use it too much, uh, but I don't typically take, if I'm worried that the weather's going to be cold, to where that might be an issue to where I need to move down around, um, I'm probably going to take a different bag and not worry about it. Take a 0-degree bag, and I'd rather be a little too hot than way too cold at night, because when your feet are cold, it's miserable. Granted, being overly hot is also miserable, but I can open bags up easy enough. That's super easy to do. But that's just me. I don't like wearing a lot of layers at night. Maybe a light base layer, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to have to throw on puffies and everything else to try to sleep. I kind of want to let my sleeping bag do that for me. Um, the zipper on Western Mountaineering they're always great. One thing that they do on all their sleeping bags is they do a really nice, try to get a picture of it here, backing here. Their zipper is nothing crazy. It's kind of a standard YKK zipper here. Don't know if you can see that or not. But these things, the way that they make them, I mean, they probably have one of the best zippers in the business. I mean, between just their backing that they use, and they use it all the way up. Um, yeah, I've never had this get caught. It always works very well. They have a really great um, baffle system in there for your neck. The hood is very roomy, um, and you can really suck that down. And they have one string pull method, which is, I think, is nice for the hood. Some you got two, where you're trying to pull them around and make it work. Not a big fan of that. I will say that this bag up here is the only bag that is sourced and made 100% in the United States. They're made in San Jose, California. And as far as sleeping bags go, period, I would say that Western Mountaineering and Feathered Friends are the absolute gold standard for just a sleeping bag. Now, the one thing is that they're not really hunting oriented, so they're more or less making them for your backpackers that are just throwing on an Osprey bag or something like that, or Hyperlight or whatever the heck they are. Um, so they're not made to be super durable. They are pretty durable still. Like I said, this is a good fabric that they use, good shell, and it's very good at shedding water. But a lot of hunters, especially nowadays, are all moving towards teepee tents. Condensation can be an issue in those, especially during the winter time if you're not running a stove 24/7. So these next three bags, or next four bags even, these ones are all more hunting oriented, but none of them are 100% made in the United States. This one's completely made overseas, China, I believe, the Peax bag. The Argali is made in China too, I believe, but they do use USA source goose down, I believe, is their claim. They use a very high quality goose down, Eastern European, something along those lines, that they claim has some of the best feathers due to the cold weather that they live in. And that is part of the reason that this bag and that bag, the Western Mountaineering bag, are the only two that do not have treated down here. These two have treated down to help with water resistance and everything else. Argali, Western Mountaineering, Feathered Friends, I believe, is in the same boat where they don't use treated down. Part of their reason for that is that they think that high quality goose down is already super water resistant, and there are some facts to back that up. They also think that long term of the compression and opening them back up, that coating is often paraffin wax treatment, which can lead to clumping over time. I'm guessing that's not something that's going to show up in the first, 8 years, but 9, 10 years may be a thing. However, I don't know enough about that. I can't make that claim that that's going to happen, and that non-treated is better than treated, or vice versa. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of discussion around that, and I don't even think sleeping bag manufacturers have figured that out yet, because there's clearly companies doing different stuff for a reason, and I don't think that it's because one way is necessarily cheaper than the other or anything like that. It's just everybody's got their minds made up for what's best. But they might have something, they might not, I don't know, but just want to throw that out there. These two are not treated down. These do all have this is a Pertex shell, same with the Stone Glacier. This is I think it's a Toray fabric that's very water resistant and wind resistant. That is, I'm not really sure. That's a 20D ripstop nylon, I think, on the Western Mountaineering. Don't quote me on that. Again, my main focus is these three bags anyways, so I'm just kind of having those out outliers there for comparison. But all these bags, like I said, they're great bags, but they are very much hunting focused. So getting into the Peax, the Peax one is definitely a little different than these two, and it actually has a lot more similarities with the Sika bag on the end. That sad, pathetic looking thing that is just almost flat right now. It has been in its storage bag in my hunting closet, but it's also a synthetic one, so I don't really anticipate it to puff up, and it's also a very warm weather one. So again, that might be about as thick as it gets. It's been a while since I've used that one. So the Peax bag here is the only one that has a center zip, and I will say I love it. I love the center zip. I did stay in this bag on a 10-degree night, 10-degree Fahrenheit, and a 5-degree Fahrenheit night, and stayed in my teepee tent in my backyard. Had plenty of wind going on, and I was perfectly comfortable all night. One thing that a lot of people talk about with this bag is the amount of down in the foot box. I always assumed that that was more or less marketing fluffery, but when I was actually in this bag, holy cow, I felt it. My feet were warm, no issues. I also really like the design of this foot box, where it's kind of got a toe kick. My toes don't typically just point straight down when I'm in a bag, so having a little bit of upness is nice when I do sleep on my back. But there was plenty of room still when I went on my side. Everything was just fine. So it does have a center zip. There's also another feature that it has here that's pretty cool, is it comes with 3 zippers, which allows you to vent this bag anywhere you want along the body of the bag, to almost your feet all the way up to your neck. So if you do get hot, you can vent out your chest, or you can bring it down and vent out your legs. And it's great. That is a great function to have. I do tend to sleep hot compared to a lot of people. So being able to do that's awesome. And I will say, this has an anti-snag zipper, which this one, the Argali and the Sika bag also have. And the thing with these anti-snag zippers is they're not going to never get stuck. They might still get a snag. But I believe the biggest thing that they market with these, and that they claim, is that even if it gets snagged, the way that these are designed is it won't eat that fabric up into your teeth of your zipper, which is what wears out the fabric, is when it gets stuck in the teeth. And if you've ever had a very light down coat and you get something stuck in there, holy cow, it can be a pain, and you're always worried about tearing the actual shell of it. But with these, they might get snagged. Now, I will say I have played with the crap out of this thing and not been gentle with it, and I've never once had it get snagged. You might have just seen right there, it did kind of bite that fabric a little bit when I had it puffed up, but man, it just came right out, no problem at all. That is the biggest thing that I have noticed, is this is a very smooth, very easy to manipulate zipper, and I really am a fan of that. I got to be a fan of that with the Sika bag, and then I was really glad to see it on this bag when I first got it. So yeah, big fan of the anti-snag zipper. The other thing that this bag has is it's got arm baffles, so you can actually put your arms out. Now that might not be for everybody, but I will say for me, I wear contacts and glasses when I'm on a hunt and it's super cold out. The last thing I want to do is get out of my sleeping bag to take my contacts out, or put my contacts in, or take my glasses on or off, or whatever. Real big pain in the butt to have to do that. The other thing is, sometimes at night, especially, you crawl into your sleeping bag, and that's when I want to send a few text messages back to my wife or somebody, one of my other hunting buddies or something, give them updates on what's going on. Being able to put your arms out of your sleeping bag and keep the body all warm, and keep the vast majority of the warmth in your bag, is just game changing to me. A lot of people might be kind of worried about your hot air getting out or drafts getting in. Same with the center zip. A lot of people worry about that, claim that center zips are where you lose heat. Um, Not that I've noticed. I mean, I've had some cold nights in this thing, and I was snug as can be. These baffles go a long ways in there, and these really wrap around, and it seems to be it seems to work very well. The other thing is there is no uh, neck baffle system like the rest of these bags are going to have, or I guess the Sika bag doesn't. Um, that you got to pull a string on or anything like that. This is basically like a jacket hood, the way that this is set up. So when you put this on, you zip it up, it's automatically going to cinch around your neck a little bit. It's not overly tight, which is good because nobody wants to feel like they're being strangled at night. But it does hold that heat in kind of automatically just by the design, the nature of the beast here. And also, if you were using this bag, you were planning on it being really cold and something happens and it turns out it's not that cold and the 0 degree bag is just way too much for you, you can actually roll this hood up, and it's got another shell fabric inside this hood that you can unvelcro, roll this up, tuck it away, and actually transform this into a quilt. And then just turn it upside down, lay it on top of you, open it all the way up, slip your feet in at the very bottom, and it's a quilt. And that helps regulate that heat to where you're not just, sweltering away in the heat. Having an open concept like that is pretty nice. The other thing that they do, Peax, those guys, a lot of them are pretty used to sleeping in teepee tents. They make a teepee tent as well. That could be part of why they did this. Like I said before, condensation happens in teepee tents. When you're in those, your head or your feet might be close to a wall and it might rub on it. The last thing that you want is for your head or your feet to be getting wet because of the rubbing along the wall of the teepee tent. So they actually put this lighter gray fabric here is a waterproof fabric that's going to help minimize any kind of wetness getting in from your tent. So that kind of covers that bag. Now we're going to move to, I'm going to skip the Argali for right now. I'm going to go over to the Stone Glacier bag. This bag, just for FYI, this Sitka bag here is essentially the same thing as the Peax. So I'm trying to figure out where to go for the camera. This is essentially the same thing as the Peax. Now, Sitka they did start making recently a down version of this bag. Very similar to this, almost identical. The two biggest differences that I can think of right off the top is the armholes on the Sitka bags are zippered, and they are still very easy to use, but they have kind of an internal baffle there. I don't have any experience with the actual down Sitka bags, so I can't say how warm they are, or if that zipper lets anything in. I've never used this bag on a super cold night to where drafts have really been a concern. But they do a zipper style. The other thing I forgot to mention on that bag is it does transform into a parka as well, to where you can pull up that middle piece and you can actually hook it. There's a dongle or toggle on the bottom of the bag. You flip it up, you tie it to right here, it just slips through, and then you can put it on as a parka. I like the Sitka version better, mainly because the Sitka one, you can be wearing this bag, and with how their hook system is, it's actually a sewed on piece right here by your feet almost, and then it's got a little hook right at the bottom. You can pull this out and just hook it. It doesn't sit as high on your waist. It hangs pretty low. You can still walk around without, stepping on your sleeping bag, but your sleeping bag is going to be about yay high, about a foot or so off the ground versus 3 feet like the Peax is. The biggest thing to me is that you can use this bag or turn this bag into a parka without taking it off. You cannot do that with this. You got to take it off, turn it into a parka, then slide it back on. To me, kind of defeats the purpose. I really liked the idea with this one, and I used it because you can get out of your bag or get out of your tent at night, stay in your sleeping bag, go take a leak, come back to your sleep, your back to your tent, lay back down, and go to sleep. The other thing is, there is one more thing, is that I believe that the new Sika one still only has 2 zippers, so you can't vent it anywhere on your body. You're still down to just a couple of spots, which for some people might not be a deal breaker. Some might be. So just want to go over that really quick, touch base on a few of those items. Now the Stone Glacier bag, this is the one that I have the most experience in. I have used the Stone Glacier Chilkoot 15-degree bag plenty of times, and now I have the 0-degree bag as well. This bag feels super high quality. I mean, the Peax bag, it's got a lot of great features, a lot of nice stuff. The shell material on it is a little bit different. This Pertex shell, this 15D Pertex stuff that these two use, I mean, it feels super high quality. It's very nice. But it also always has me a little bit worried. It doesn't feel very durable. The Peax bag feels very durable. Granted, I've never had an issue with this, but just the feel of it, it's very light, very silky. It always just makes me feel like it's going to tear really easy. But again, it hasn't yet, so maybe it's just more of a fear of mine in my head than anything. But again, this bag, it's sewn differently. The baffles are quite a bit bigger, wider. They got, I think it's a pin and tuck method of how they sew these. Could be wrong on that. So, but it allows a ton of loft. I mean, these bags are just loft machines. I bet there's 7 inches easy of loft in there. They do have a collar, a draft collar inside. Stone Glacier does utilize kind of a magnet in there. Great idea. I like the attempt at innovation there. However, when I'm actually sleeping in this thing just comes undone 50 times a night. The bag has been so warm, I've never actually noticed it. But the biggest thing that I said before, the bag is just too long. If Stone Glacier made this bag in a regular size, I think it would be definitely way up there. It would definitely give it a lot of extra points. It is way up there. It's a very nice bag. I will never talk bad about this bag. It's kept me warm plenty of times. It feels like you're sleeping on a cloud. It is an amazingly made bag. Some of the test videos that they got on YouTube, their water challenge and everything, it's very impressive. I'm just not a super tall guy, so that is my one gripe with this. Honestly, it's not my only gripe with it. But my next gripe, I actually have 2 minor gripes, and this is kind of minor. My 2 gripes with this is this bag, the Peax, the Western Mountaineering, and the Sika bag. None of these bags have a cell phone pocket. Now, with the Western Mountaineering bag over there being a 20-degree bag, and this one being a 30-degree bag, not as big of a deal. But when you're camping and it's cold, especially if you're on hunts and you're going to have some electronics, especially a cell phone, when it's cold at night, those batteries just get sucked down. They die. You need to keep them in a bag with you at night, or you won't have any battery by morning. And none of these bags, except the Argali, have an internal pocket. Now, I know plenty of guys will be like, oh, just throw it in your bag, it'll be fine. Again, I'm a side sleeper. I have done that for years. Just throw it in my bag, and it kind of just sits somewhere. It moves around. But when you're a side sleeper and you're rolling, again, about 215 pounds, I have rolled and nearly crushed my cell phone plenty of times. It's just kind of for something that'd be so simple, I think, for them to put into one of their bags. I don't know why they didn't. Uh, just seems like a miss to me on that. Um, we're in the modern age. Uh, Modernize it a little bit. Argali did it, and I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max, 16 Pro Max. I'm not really sure what it is. Um, but it does fit in there. It's tight, but it fits, and that's all I need to do. I just need to fit and be able to stay in place, and it sits up on the top of your right shoulder. Perfect. That's all you need, and it's just a little piece of fabric. It actually took me a minute to find the pocket because it just blends in so well, but um, that's great. That's what all these bags should have, especially cold weather bags. You can't keep a cell phone alive if it's not in your bag at night. My other thing with this bag is they kind of tried to do what Western Mountaineering did, but I don't think that they accomplished it as well. Um, they did not do, they did kind of a backing on this, but it's not near as thick or as heavy as the Western Mountaineering one. It's not as wide, and as you can tell by kind of these tracks around here, I don't know if you can actually see that. They're pretty minor, but I have gotten my zipper stuck at night, and it was about, probably 0 degrees when it happened. Cold enough that my contact solution that was in my contact case next to my sleeping bag was actually freezing. Contact solution doesn't freeze that easily, so for it to freeze at night, it was pretty cold. But I got up to use the bathroom about 2 a.m. and when I came back in, you're cold. You're kind of in a hurry to get back in your bag, get it zipped up. And as I was zipping up that bag, it snagged about right here. And I spent probably the next 20 minutes trying to work that free without damaging the bag. It did eventually come free. I have not had it snag since, but I have been way more careful. But the last thing that I want to be doing at 2 a.m. is trying to be perfectly careful and aware of what I'm doing when I'm zipping up my bag. Because when you're tired and it's cold, you're just not always going to be in that mindset to take your time, make sure everything's cleared out. And with this being so lofty, it's very easy to get material stuck. So finishing up with that one, going into the Argali. Now this is my newest bag. I have used it on a very cold night in my yard. Again, it was probably 0 degrees outside with a wind chill of roughly probably -10. It's very cold. Stayed very warm. I was plenty comfortable in this bag. It's a good size. It's a good material. Now this does use the same shell material as this bag. Obviously their baffles design is different. Their footbox design is different. It's similar to the Peax. They don't use a different material on the foot and the head or anything like that, but they do have that articulated foot box that opens up vertically to keep your toes a place to go. The one thing that I'm really happy to see on this bag is they did use an anti-snag zipper similar to this one and the Sika bag that's now covered up. But they did use Pertex. Now Pertex is probably one of the premier sleeping bag fabrics. But again, the Peax I think feels more durable. This feels more high quality. It's definitely probably a little bit lighter. I don't know if it does as well for wind protection, but if you're in a tent, probably doesn't matter too much anyways. But this bag, I will say is probably one of them that I was the most impressed with. It is a standard sleeping bag, a side zip, nothing crazy. There's not a lot of functions, but they did do a good job with the backing here. They got a little bit wider than the Stone Glacier. They did utilize the anti-snag zipper, which is huge. I like the button that they have up here to kind of help keep everything shut. And then when you open this up, they do have a different shell fabric inside. This is a nylon. I think it's a 20D nylon versus the Pertex. The Stone Glacier is Pertex all the way through. Kind of feels like you're sleeping on satin sheets in a cloud with that one. This feels like you're in a sleeping bag. I mean, you're very comfortable. It doesn't feel as high quality as that one on the inside, but I personally, I think this one probably is the same interior fabric material as this one. Um, Personally, I prefer it. I think it's more comfortable at night. I don't like super silky feel on my skin or anything. Granted, when I'm using these bags, you're almost always wearing a base layer, but so um, I prefer it, I think, but it's not a deal breaker one way or the other to me. Um, this does have a very well filled um, uh, draft collar that has a button, which again, great feature versus the magnet. Now that might still come undone, but it's going to take a lot more to do, which is awesome. I'm fine with something that still gives if it's being pushed because that keeps things from tearing and giving you a feel of claustrophobia. And it does have a drawstring in here to pull that tight. The other thing is this is a separate pillow that they specifically make. It's their Argali makes this for this sleeping bag. You can use this pillow with other stuff, with any of these sleeping bags, but it is specifically made for this one. It's their like Dream Elite or something along those lines pillow. It comes with a pillow top that's probably an inch and a half thick or so, but that's just kind of a nice, smooth. That's a nice feeling along your. That's a nice feeling on your face at night. Kind of a microfiber, and it's got probably an inch and a half thick pillow inside. It's good size, but the back of it unzips so you can take your hunting clothes or whatever you got. This is actually a cheap camping pillow that I just used for this demonstration. You just take this, takes whatever you got, you shove it in there, and that is how you're going to set your thickness. So if you like a thin pillow, you might not put anything in there. If you like a thick pillow, you can put in whatever you want. Shove your extra base, your extra down, whatever you have available, and use it. Get it to your preferred thickness, your preferred firmness, whatever you want. I am somebody that likes a good pillow. I have been using a Thermarest pillow that is a foam. Uh, it's like chopped up foam, so you can press it down pretty well, and then it lofts back up over time. I like to have a pillow. I like a nice, comfortable pillow at night. Again, being a side sleeper. Um, so I think this is great innovation. And what it does do is it's got two buttons, one on each side. Then inside their sleeping bag, they got these two little button loops. So where you can actually take this pillow and take those buttons and button it into this sleeping bag. And what that's going to do is just prevent this pillow from moving around on you at night. So it'll always be in your hood by your head. And you're not going to be fighting to keep it in place. It's strapped in. It's there. So when you move, it moves with you, or stays in place, I guess you should say. Good thought. Um, Good execution, I think, for the most part, too. I don't really have any issue with it. It's a great way to keep the weight down and still have comfort. You got to have comfort in the backcountry if you want to be getting everything you can out of your hunts or your backpack trips or whatever. So this bag, I mean, this is a a great bag. I am thoroughly impressed by it. Again, non-treated down. We'll see how well that holds up over time compared to the rest of these, but I'm very happy with it. It's very roomy. All these bags are roomy. I don't feel confined in any of them. I can move around. I can rotate. I can move. The one thing I will say is I'm not a super flexible person. So as far as zipper placement goes, I do like the center zip. It's just very easy for me to manipulate, to get it open, to get it undone. I like that. The side zip, I always feel like I'm trying to move and get that last little bit zipped up there. But once you're in it, it's fine. I have no issue with it. Again, this Argali Alpine 0 degree bag, it's awesome. And this is a regular size, regular. The Peaks does make a regular wide for you bigger guys. If you're still shorter, shouldn't say vertically challenged. How about that? Um, so they do have some options there, um, but and they all have tall versions, except for Stone Glacier. That's their one and done deal. Um, so yeah, the other thing that I want to touch on that I don't think gets um, enough talked about near enough is the stuff sack or the storage bags that these come with. Every one of these comes with a stuff sack that's pretty much the same. It's a small nylon bag that you can just cram your sleeping bag into and throw it in a pack. Works. It's not great for long-term storage. Don't do that. Don't ruin your down. There are some argument about that too, that it doesn't ruin your down as long as it's put away dry, but we're not going to get into that. But the Western Mountaineering bags, they have a one size fits all. This is a gigantic storage sack, as you can tell. I'm holding it tight up against me, so it's going from basically my bottom lip to about my knees. Um, it's big. It's a big bag. Uh, it works. They use the same bag, I believe, for all of their sleeping bags, and you can buy aftermarket ones. The Sitka bag is quite a bit smaller. Granted, that is a smaller bag. So if I hold it to my chin, it goes down to about my waist, and it's not near as wide, and it is kind of stretchy, but um, it works. It's smaller bag, works. Um, Argali, they have one similar kind of to the Western Mountaineering. Very similar in size. It's very big. It does have a rounded bottom sewn in versus kind of a square rectangular bottom of the uh, Western Mountaineering. But this is a generously sized storage bag. Stone Glacier, they have a very heavy duty mesh, almost ball bag. Their base is rectangular as well. But man, they this is where I think Stone Glacier really nailed it compared to every other one. Their storage sack is huge and it's very heavy duty. Argali is probably the next one. Western Mountaineering makes a good one too. Um, these bags get put away and they sit there for sometimes years before you use them again. Having the correct way to store them from your manufacturer is huge. I don't think that gets pushed on enough. And Stone Glacier, Argali, Western Mountaineering, I think they're all killing it. And they're all doing it right. Which takes me to my last one. The Peax one. It, holding it up to my chin here, is not much bigger than, if any bigger, than it's about the same exact size as the Sitka bag. This works for a 40-degree bag or 30-degree bag, whatever they call it, synthetic. In my opinion, this is way too small for long-term storage of a $700 and some sleeping bag, down sleeping bag. I could be wrong on that. Maybe I am. Maybe it's just fine. I strongly disagree though with this. I have since purchased on my own, and I'm not going to go get it right now, but I went out shortly after getting this bag and I have purchased a couple of other storage bags that are quite a bit bigger. The one is a 110 liter. The other one is a 260 liter bag, which is monstrous. The 110 would probably work just fine, which is quite a bit bigger than this bag. This one might, I don't know how big this is. I'm going to guess this is somewhere around 90 liters. But it's just a little too small. And I think that is a miss. These bags get stored long term. Like I said, they should be stored properly. And when you're spending $700+ on a sleeping bag, don't cheap out on me and give me a cheap storage bag. Give me a nice one. I'm buying your product. You want it to last. You should be wanting to put out a good product that's going to last for years. Make sure that you include the right stuff. Um, so yeah, that's as far as the Peax one goes, that is my biggest issue. Um, Now, just kind of going through a few other things. I am not sponsored or affiliated with any of these guys again. I am a civil engineer that just happens to be a big time hunter and outdoors person, and I happen to like gear. So I have wanted to do this for years. I have watched tons of different reviews, read tons of them, and this is just always something I wanted to do. So I did buy all these bags. I did reach out to I reached out to several of them. I reached out to Peax, I reached out to Sitka, and I reached out to Argali, um, letting them know that I'm planning to do this. And I was hoping that they would provide me with the bag or at least give me some help purchasing the bag. Um, Peax never responded. Sitka said, we'll send it to the people that need to look at this and they'll get back to you if they want to, which was a very nice way to say not only no, but heck no. But so I did purchase this one. I purchased this one. I purchased those two, everything full price. Most of them at my local Shields. And the Argali one, they actually did get a hold of me and I talked to them. They did not give me this bag. They did give me a discount on it, but it still cost me about $500 all said and done to get this bag here. That did not include the pillow. The pillow is another $50 spent from my Shields, spent at my local Shields here. So please take these as all an honest opinion, an honest review. Whatever I've said, done, isn't likely to translate into any kind of commission, checks, sponsorship, or anything else from any of these companies. Not even free stuff, most likely. Though if they want to, great, send it my way. I'll be happy to review it. I also will be doing a write-up on this stuff and posting it over on Rockslide for some of you that just want to read about it. There might be a little more detail. It's just hard for me to recall everything that I want to talk about as I'm going through this. And there, you'll get a few more of the specs on it on the Rockslide write-up. You can look up my name. It's going to be the same username, RunDMC33 over there. So if you want some further information on that, feel free to look that up, or reach out, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions, tried any of these yourselves, and kind of what your thoughts are, what your experiences are. A lot of people have reached out on some of my earlier stuff saying they have the Chilkoot bag, they love it. I agree. I will say that the one thing that I do wish, so Western Mountaineering over here, the red bag again, only one that's 100% USA made, sourced, everything. Love that. I'm a big supporter of USA made stuff. I wish that more stuff was made that way. Argali's trying. They do got some USA stuff in there, obviously. It's a great start. I hope that they can get everything here. It's hard in business, especially when you're starting new with a new product. Making it in the US obviously is going to be a huge expense. I think it'd be worth it, man. You look at some of these other companies that are getting going now that are making USA made stuff, especially someone like MKC. Pays, man. It's paying off. Stone Glacier, again, all made overseas. I think it's Vietnam for that one. I would say, kind of keep this in mind. Stone Glacier, Sitka, Argali, Peax, they're all kind of your standard high quality stuff. They still have great QC, QA, QC. Sitka gear is all made overseas. Kuiu, First Light, all that stuff it's still great stuff. I just wish it was made here. I could see somebody like Argali trying to get everything here. I don't think Peax ever will. I think they're going to stay doing their business model how they are, keep their stuff overseas, and try to run it that way. Their tents and everything are all made overseas as well. Stone Glacier, They were a big USA made company when they first started. You know, they came out with packs. They're USA made packs, and I still run their packs. I have a couple of them. Huge fan of their packs. They are some of the best ones I've ever used, and I've tried a ton of them. uh, I love their packs. They do a great job. But now that they, you know, have sold, they don't have their original founder, Kurt. I think he's still associated with the brand, but he's clearly not calling every shot anymore. They do have a bigger, um, a, a, a bigger owner that's probably looking at some of those profit margins a little bit harder. I don't think, I'm guessing they'll never bring them over anymore. You know, they're growing. They're going to be, you know, your Sika brand going forward. Great stuff, great QA, QC, great customer service. Stone Glacier has excellent customer service. Western Mountaineering has great customer service. Argali, I was amazed that when I talked to them, I talked to a real person. I can call them. They have a phone number. I hate, and I say this honestly, hate like that Peax does not have a person you can talk to. And a lot of companies are going that way. Everything's got to be done through email. Um, I don't like that. But the few times I have reached out to them, they have emailed me back and they've been very helpful. It just takes a little while. And I'm old fashioned as far as that goes. I like to deal with a live person on the other end, somebody I can talk to, explain things. It's just so much easier. Um, but all these bags are great. It's going to come down to a lot of personal preference. Um, I guess if I was telling you right now to buy one, if you didn't have a bag, I would say if you're very much a America first, I want American made. That's it. I want something good. I want American made. Go with Western Mountaineering, or even Feathered Friends is another one that's American made. It's very similar to Western Mountaineering. You can't go wrong with either of those. They are the gold standard. Um, but they're not hunting oriented. They are just your typical backpacking sleeping bags. But you'll be very happy with them. Uh, Otherwise, if you are somebody that likes some creature comforts, the Peaks, or even the Sika bag, Sika does not make a 0 degree bag in their down yet. I don't believe they make a 15-degree bag only. I'm pretty sure. Um, so if you want a 0 degree bag, go with Peaks. If you want the 15-degree bag, probably go with either. I think they're very similar, other than the few things I covered over in the video. If you like a standard sleeping bag, you know, the Argali or the Stone Glacier, you really can't go wrong with either. A lot of people are very happy with their Stone Glacier bag. If I was gonna pick right now today, I'd probably go the Argali, um, and that's for a couple reasons. A, it's the uh, sorry, it is the phone pocket, which I think, again, huge miss with several of these bags. And I like the button-in pillow. I actually think it's a great feature. You might not use it, might not care about that. I like it. The other thing is, you know, I have a TP tent with a stove, and this bag is just so wide because of all the fluff that it has. Now, loft is great. Loft is a good thing to have, but it takes up a lot of room when it's that lofted. And if I'm not getting a lot more warmth out of it, or at least I'm not getting cold with a smaller bag, I'm gonna go with the smaller bag. I just am. You know, internally they're about the same size. I don't feel any tighter or more restricted in the Argali than I do in the Stone Glacier. It's just a nicer package. Um, but between these two, if that's not a concern for you, if none of that stuff is, the anti snake zipper is really nice. Um, Again, if you're not worried about that, I would say go with whichever one you find a better deal on. They are both very good bags in any of these. You can't go wrong with any of them. If you get a good deal on any of them, jump on it, go for it. You are not going to be disappointed. Um, the biggest thing is when you put your bag away, always make sure it is clean and dry and in a big enough storage bag that you're not compressing that loft. Um, but otherwise, these bags are great. One of the things I will cover in my write-up when I get to it, because I haven't done it yet, is I'm going to cram all these down into their stuff sacks, leave them in there for about 6 to 10 hours which is about the normal time that I would do it if I was going on a trip. I don't like to keep them compressed the whole way. Typically, I don't compress down my sleeping bag until the very end, and it's one of the things I put on the top. But um, typically, I'll compress it down right at the end, right when I get there, and I'm getting out of my truck and I'm getting ready to hike into wherever I'm going. And it could be a long hike, it could be a short hike, whatever. But uh, I will press those all down into their stuff sacks and then take them out after that 6-10 hours and then see how long it takes for them to all loft back up. I have done that with the Stone and the Peaks. Um, just doing a side by side comparison there. Taking them out, giving them both a couple good shakes, top and bottom. I just kind of like to shake them all around and then lay them down because that's what I would do in my tent. And they both took about 20 to 30 minutes to fully loft back up, which I didn't think was that big of a deal. I haven't tried that with the Argali yet, or really the Western Mountaineering. It's just never been a big issue to me with that one. Granted, it's a little warmer. But that is one thing I will do, and I will put those notes in that write-up. But otherwise, if you got anything else, comment, let me know, and I will see what I can do for you. Thank you.